I'm always trying to find new things to make for my family, day in and day out. And that's where you can kind of run out of imagination. So I thought I would share 4 really fun weeknight dinner ideas that you're gonna wanna run out and make like in 30 minutes. The first one is a big pan of cheeseburger sliders, and these are not the sliders that you think. This is a really cool way to make a whole bunch of sliders at once. Prepare to be amazed. So I started sauteing some onions in a little bit of vegetable oil, and I'm adding some ground beef, and instead of forming them into individual patties like you would normally see sliders, I'm going to cook all the ground beef together, crumbling it as I go.
Wow.
Revolutionary.
Always innovating here. Okay, so I'm just gonna cook this for about 4 minutes until the beef is totally brown. All right, the ground beef is pretty much brown, so I'm going to add some Worcestershire sauce, just to make things a little more interesting. All right, I'm gonna add some more pepper. I want the ground beef to be super flavorful, and you can actually doctor this up with hot sauce. You can add like a little bit of barbecue sauce to the meat if you like that kind of thing. All right, so I'm gonna turn the meat off, and I'm going to make a little sauce for the sliders. So what's your favorite condiment for burgers?
Mayo, ketchup, and mustard.
Well, you're in luck, Mauricio, because I am making a mixture of mayo, ketchup, and mustard.
Whoa.
Not gonna put it on separately. I'm just gonna stir it all together. And again, you can have some fun with this. You can add hot sauce, barbecue sauce. Okay, so look at this. It's called muscanaise.
Muscadinese.
That's right. So these are slider rolls, and they come all stuck together in a package. I cut them through the middle, put them on the pan, and I toasted them in the oven just until they were starting to get brown. So watch this. All of the sauce goes on. It looks like a lot, but it's really not as much as you think. And then you want to spread it so it really gets out to the edges. These are cheeseburger sliders, so I've got some grated cheddar jack, and I'm gonna add half of it right on top of the sauce. Do you see where this is going yet?
I can kind of pick up what you're putting down.
You pick up what I'm putting down. And then I'm gonna add the ground beef. It's just like one big sandwich, and then I'm gonna bake it and cut it into individual sliders. And it's really packed on here, you guys.
That's the way I like my sliders, nice and beefy.
That's right. Same. All right, so basically you wanna spread the ground beef just kind of so it's on an even layer and it goes out to the edges. And then the rest of the cheese goes on. And then my favorite part, which isn't that revolutionary, it's just my favorite part. Pickles!
Yes.
No.
And
I love
yes, and what I like to do is just do a slice kind of over each section. Okay, so then, as you can imagine, the top goes on, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of a press, and then I have some olive oil, and I wanna show you what I'm gonna do to the tops of the buns. I am not content just to put naked buns in the oven. I have to doctor them up. Naked buns are not my thing. Read into that what you will. Everything bagel seasoning.
Oh.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of gives the buns a little bit of interest. All right, let's put them into the oven, Alex. Come along. 375 degrees, just until the cheese melts and everything is piping hot, and then we'll dive in. All right, let's check it out. Ooh, ooh.
Oh my goodness.
The tops of the rolls got a little toasty. I love it because they kind of look like pretzels almost. They kind of got that pretzel-y color about them. So then all you have to do is just kind of very casually run a knife through and just cut off however many sliders you want. 1 for me, 4 for Mauricio,
Yes.
7 for Stu.
Yes.
Check it out.
Wow, those look amazing.
Yummy, right? Who wants to taste this?
Me? Mauricio.
Yes.
Stu?
I do want to try one.
I know you wanted to. And how good would these be with like jalapenos on them?
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
say less.
Whoa.
Yummy.
The sauce.
This sauce is amazing.
Thumbs up?
Double thumbs up.
Double.
Really good.
That's amazing.
Me too. Summer food. It's all about summer food today. I'm going to make some scrumptious summery delights, starting with beef brisket sliders. This is basically set up in bar form, and everybody can just pile the beef brisket onto slider buns and top it with all sorts of fixins. This is my kind of party food. So I'm making a rub for the brisket, and it starts with a little bit of paprika, garlic powder, chili powder, and then some brown sugar just for some nice caramelization and sweetness. And I have my 2 favorite Dallas residents here with me today, Alex and Mauricio.
How we doing?
We're a 2-man crew today.
Don't tell Stu and Paige how efficient we are, just the 3 of us. Okay, so I also added some salt and pepper, and I'm gonna stir this around. I love beef brisket. I mean, it is so amazing because you start with this big hunk of beef, but when you roast it and then slice it or shred it, it turns into this just pile of meat. And it's so great for a crowd because everybody can just pile it on buns, or they can just pile it on their plate if they don't want to do the sandwich situation. Lots of summertime options. Okay, speaking of hunk of brisket, here it is. Now it's partially trimmed, which means some of the huge pieces of fat are trimmed off. Oops, I forgot to do something. No, I didn't. I'm just gonna do it this way. No, I'm not. Okay. Before I sprinkle the seasoning on, I'm gonna show you a fun little trick. So I'm just gonna take a knife and just poke some little pockets in the brisket and then come in here and watch this, Alex. Ready?
Wow.
Meh.
I've never seen this method.
Isn't that fun? But imagine the flavor when this cooks. And by the way, this is cooking in the oven for 7 hours.
Is that garlic?
This is garlic. Oh yeah, I guess that's relevant information, isn't it? I kind of thought it was self-explanatory. But you get these little surprises of garlic throughout. Hey, that might be the name for my next memoir, Surprised by Garlic.
That you would do
Or
better
not.
than
Okay, back to the seasoning mix. I'm gonna sprinkle half over the top. And you can get as rubby as you want. Is that a word? I don't know what, that I said it and then it sounded very strange. This other side has quite a bit of fat, but that doesn't matter because the seasoning is just gonna wind up everywhere. Now, of course, if you're a smoker, and I don't mean that kind of smoker, I mean, if you have a smoker in your backyard, you can totally smoke this brisket. I kind of like using my oven because I like the air conditioner. I don't want to go outside until the party begins. Okay, now I'm gonna go wash my hands before I put this in the oven. Don't go away. All right, Alex, would you like to come around to the oven with me?
that. Yes, ma'am.
Follow me along on my brisket journey. So as I said, this is gonna cook for 7 hours, low and slow, 275 degrees, until it's totally tender. Obviously, Mauricio and Alex are a very busy and important couple, and they don't have time to sit around here for 7 hours, so look.
Ooh.
Now, it's very, very dark. It looks like it's burned or charred, but it is not, trust me. Do you trust me, Alex?
I'm feeling
Oh, gosh.
Oh my God.
I'm okay. I told you it was tender. That's always a good sign of a brisket when it totally falls apart like that. In fact, that was part of my plan for the demo of this recipe. So you can shred it with 2 forks, or you just go in with a knife. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
And then it just reveals all that luscious, juicy meat inside. And what I love is that the outside of the brisket is sort of that smoky charred flavor that you would get at barbecue places in Texas. Not that you guys would know anything about that. All right, so I'm just gonna keep slicing until I've got the whole thing sliced up. This is juicy.
It's literally like,
Okay, we have to
Juicy.
stop in the middle of the slicing. Alex, you have to come in and close and get it while I slice.
Wow.
Is it juicy?
Very juicy.
I
oozing.
can't see.
Oh my gosh.
That's what you want to see in a brisket.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, it is juicy. I love that. All right, back to slicing. Okay, got it all sliced. Look at this, Alex. Just do a little panning shot of this beautiful brisket. It is perfect. It's juicy, it's tender. It didn't completely fall apart, which is nice because I knew I wanted to slice it. But if you want to just use 2 forks and shred it to smithereens, that's totally acceptable behavior in this part of the United States of America. Okay, so I'm gonna move this out of the way. And then I'm gonna bring in this big, beautiful board.
Wow.
And this is what you serve it on. So I've got some soft rolls. I'm gonna put this brisket on. And then I've got this colorful coleslaw with cilantro on top, pickles, sweet pepper relish, pepperoncinis, jarred sweet peppers, and a little bit of spinach to make it all healthy. Oh, it just all looks so amazing. I'm gonna build a slider. I think it's appropriate as the host of this show to make sure this brisket is not poisonous. So I'm gonna pile on some brisket. And when I say pile, I mean not one piece. Look, there's a little piece of garlic.
Right.
It's a garlic bonus. And then some colorful coleslaw, which is amazing. Couple of pickles, some sweet pepper sauce. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so good. I will not be eating this on camera, I'll tell you that. This is not.
Do it, do it, do it.
No,
do
I will not
it.
succumb to peer pressure,
Whoa.
but I will succumb to these beef brisket sliders. They are winners. Next up, I'm gonna show you how to make a burger the way Oklahomans like it. If you go to any diner or old historic burger place in Oklahoma, you will get to have an Oklahoma onion burger. And let me tell you, you have not lived until you've tried one of these. They're super fun to make too. So I've been toasting the bun first, and really golden and crisp. So I'm gonna let the bun hang out. I will be back. And then I'm gonna crank up the skillet and get it really hot. So I have 2 balls of ground beef, equal sized balls. This is a double burger. And I'm just gonna sprinkle on salt and pepper on the outside. Very, very generous with the seasoning. And then I'm gonna get the ground beef into the skillet. Whoop. I have a pretty big skillet because I need to cook both of these at the same time. So I've got a little smasher, but you can also use a really nice heavy spatula. And I'm gonna smash the burger about halfway flat. So this is where the onions come in. I have a whole bunch of very, very thinly sliced onions, and I'm gonna lay a crazy amount on top of each patty. And then I'm gonna grab the smasher and smash these patties as flat as I can possibly get them. And this is why you wanna use a pretty big skillet. You could also use 2 smaller iron skillets if you have those, and cook the patties separately. So you can see that when I smashed the burgers, those onions kind of got smashed into the beef. So I'm actually gonna add more onions. Yes, I'm adding more onions. This is called an Oklahoma onion burger. And they are so good. So just make sure you smash them with the onions really pressed into the meat. And then it's just kind of about babysitting them until it's time to flip. I'm not sure where the Oklahoma onion burger first originated, but it is said that it came about during the Depression when burger joints were trying to figure out a way to stretch the beef a little bit more. So they started adding a lot of onions, and that way they didn't have to use as much beef. That's the legend anyway. So keep an eye on the burgers as they cook, and if they look like they're kind of shrinking in, just give them another smush. I have a smusher and I'm not afraid to use it. So the great thing about cooking the onions on the top of the burgers while they cook is that the onions get a little bit steamed and start to soften. So when it's time to flip them over, then they can get really nice and brown. So I think that time has come. So when it's time to flip the burgers, you'll be glad that you smushed the onions into the top, because then they stay attached. And by the way, this is a messy, oniony proposition, and that's what makes these burgers so good. So give them another little smash when you turn them over. And this is where the cheese comes in. So you have to use American cheese when you make an Oklahoma onion burger. I'm putting 2 really thin slices on each patty. And American cheese just melts really kind of soft and creamy, and it melts pretty fast too. Okay, and then I'll grab the top bun and I'll put it on one of the patties. And that way the flavor from the burger is just gonna permeate that bun and make the whole thing even more flavorful. Okay, I just need to give the burgers about 1.5 minutes longer, and then I'll show you what we've got. You cannot believe how good this kitchen smells right now. Oh my word. So everything is ready. I'm gonna scrape underneath the burgers on this first patty, and I'm gonna put this straight on top of the second patty. So don't worry if the second patty looked like it wasn't going to melt, because the top patty just took care of that. So I'm gonna put the bottom bun on the serving plate and gather up any stray onions that have sort of decided to stick to the skillet, because I don't want any onion to be left behind. And then check this out. It goes straight on. I mean, I highly recommend you go out and have an Oklahoma onion burger next time you go on a first date. I mean, just set the stage for the kind of gal or guy you are. I mean, can you imagine just diving into that on a first date? I haven't been on a first date in a really long time, so I don't know if that's still a thing anymore, but look at this. You can see the beautiful cooked onions in between the layers. The bottom has a beautiful bed of those charred onions. Oh, honestly, the lettuce, tomato, and pickles aren't even necessary, but it's pretty on the plate. Oklahoma onion burger. I love you, old friend. I need to be alone with this. Being in the middle of the country, we sure love comfort food around here. And being a working cattle ranch, we also love food that can be portable. So I am gonna combine those 2 wonderful categories and make some comfort food that's really easy to take on the go. I'm gonna start with the ultimate comfort food, meatloaf, and I'm gonna turn it into sliders. It makes the best portable sandwich, perfect for those cowboy types in your life. I tore up some white bread, and honestly, the cheaper the bread, the better. And then I just poured in some whole milk, and that bread is gonna slowly start soaking that up. And then in goes the ground beef. And I'll kind of break this up when I put it in, so it'll be easier to mix together in just a sec. And the rest of the ingredients are just standard for my meatloaf, whether I'm making sliders or just a big old loaf. So I added some grated Parmesan cheese, a couple of eggs, which kind of helps everything bind together, a little bit of grated garlic. You don't want to overpower it, but the garlic, if you leave it out, will mean the meatloaf is really missing something special. And then some seasoned salt and plenty of black pepper. I think I've been telling you for about 15 years now that cowboys love black pepper, but it's so true. Some truths are just timeless. All right, I'm gonna smush it around a little bit more. And the final ingredient is some bright green parsley, just fresh chopped parsley. And then, you can go in with your hands if you want to, but I've got sleeves, I've got fingernails, so if the ground beef isn't very cold out of the fridge, it's real easy to mix it together. And honestly, I love meatloaf that has a little bit of texture left, so I like big chunks of bread here and there, so I'll stop just short of really smushing it all together. Alrighty, now to make it easier to make the sliders, I'm going to cook the meatloaf mixture in a mini loaf pan. I already greased it, and I'll get this mixture into each well. Okay, the meat mixture is in the neat little loaf pan, so I'm gonna make the glaze to go on top of the meatloaf, which in my humble opinion is just as important as the meatloaf itself. So it starts with ketchup, which is just a classic comfort glaze for meatloaf. And I'll add a little bit of yellow mustard, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, just to give it a little extra bite. And you gotta have the brown sugar, and that's what helps make the glaze super sticky. I've made meatloaves with different glazes. I've done sort of a barbecue sauce baked glaze. I've done kind of a chunky tomato glaze. Nothing tops the original meatloaf glaze made with bright red ketchup. Anytime I get meatloaf in a restaurant, I always check the glaze first. If it's bright red, I know it's gonna be good. Okay, now this is gonna be the glaze on top of the meatloaf, but I'm also going to make a spread out of this glaze when I build the sliders. So I'm gonna put a couple of spoonfuls into a separate bowl. And now I'll just divide this mixture among the 6 little meatloaf loaves. Meatloaf loaves. I love making the meatloaf in these small wells because when you make a great big loaf of meatloaf, sometimes it's a little tough to get the center fully cooked. You really have to pay attention, take the temperature. In this case, it's so easy to make sure they're fully cooked. All right, I'm gonna cook these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes, and then I'll take the pan out and let them cool for 10. Okay, the meatloaves are all cooked and they've cooled a bit. And I'm just slicing the last one in 2. And as you can tell, they just wind up being perfect little meatloaf patties for the sliders. And before I build the sliders, I took some of the glaze out before I put it on the meatloaves, and I'm mixing it with mayonnaise, which results in basically meatloaf mayo, I'll call it. This was basically what I dipped my fries in when I was a freshman in college. And I've loved it ever since. All right, to build the sliders, I've got little just Hawaiian rolls, and I'll put a little meatloaf patty on first. And then on top of the meatloaf, I'm gonna put a little piece of cooked bacon, because usually when I make meatloaf, I wrap it in bacon strips before I bake it. So this is just a little bit of a different approach. And then I have a cute little lettuce leaf, put that on. And then you need to have a couple of pickles to go on top of the lettuce leaf. And then for the top bun, this is where the mayo mixture will come in. So I'll add about a spoonful and spread it out. You wanna add enough that it just slightly drips out, but you don't wanna add so much that it just inundates everything. And then this goes on. What a beautiful little slider. I'm gonna add a little pick just to keep everything together. As you can see, it's very helpful to do so. Okay, that's one built. Now I'm gonna do the same with all the rest. How ridiculously awesome do these look? Nothing better than a meatloaf slider. Now, to take these to the Cowboys, I would just put a tint of foil over the top and just serve them right on the board on a tailgate of one of their trucks. Another thing you can do is wrap them individually in little plastic bags or paper bags. They're perfectly portable and outrageously delicious. My kind of recipe. Cheesesteak burgers. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a combination of a cheesesteak and a burger, and it's gonna be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. I started by adding some jarred cheese to a saucepan, and I'm gonna let it slowly heat up, and I'm gonna start making the cheesesteak ingredients on one griddle. So, gotta have veggies whenever you make any sort of cheesesteak. So I've got a combination of red bell pepper, sliced onions, and sliced mushrooms. And since this is a cheese steak, I'm gonna break out the steak seasoning again, and I'm just gonna sprinkle over the veggies and start cooking them. I'm gonna keep them in their own compartment because I'm gonna get the burgers ready. So I have 2 small balls of ground beef, and I'm gonna put them both on the griddle. And then basically I'm gonna smush these as thin as I can get them. Just go in one direction with the spatula and then turn and smush them in the other direction. You can also form them before you put them on the pan. It's probably a little bit easier that way, but I think it's exciting to kind of smush it with a spatula. Kind of looks like a peanut butter cookie.
Oh, that's what I was just thinking.
Where you cross-hatch it with a fork. Oh,
I like that.
All right. I'm gonna season the patties with a little steak seasoning. So there's a lot of flavor everywhere you turn with this recipe. I'm gonna let them go about 2 more minutes on the first side. It's the old smush and cook method. As soon as I flip them, I wanna really smush them flat again. Now I'm gonna take 2 pieces of provolone cheese. You can do cheddar, American, anything you want. And because the patties are so thin, they're gonna finish cooking like that. Okay, are you ready for this, Alex?
I don't know if I'm ready.
So I actually already grilled the bun with a little butter on the griddle before I started cooking everything else. So I've got some spicy mustard, making sure that's the bottom. Ooh. And I'm gonna spread a nice layer of the mustard. It smells so good in here, doesn't it?
So good.
And what the heck, I think I'll put mustard on the top too. I love mustard. I am in a mustard period of my life. My door of my fridge has about 7 different mustards. I just love it. Okay, so here's where the fun really begins. You come and watch this, Alex. So I'm gonna get one patty and put it on top of the other patty, and then pick it up and just kind of do the obligatory shake, and then put it straight on the bun.
Wow.
And then come the veggies, and I want basically as much veggies in weight as the meat itself. We'll put this big honkin' sandwich on this pretty floral, feminine plate.
So elegant.
I know you're excited for the cheese sauce moment.
I can't wait.
So you ready?
Oh my gosh.
I
More.
think more?
More.
Really? Are you sure?
Over here.
Okay, well, you know, I don't like to go overboard with cheese. Just kidding. All right, and then of course, oops, the lid goes on.
Oh my gosh.
It's not a burger, it's a cheesesteak burger.